This segment is brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker. All right, we're back here on Bayou Time. Martin Falls here with the parish president, Mr. Jason Bergeron, and the police chief, Travis Terrio. Good to see both of you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, shootings. Boy, and it's captivating the whole parish at this point. Mr. Parish President, we'll start with you, then we'll get to the police chief. I'm sure the phones have been buzzing, right?
They have, and, you know, I've had this conversation before, and I never hesitate to say it every time. You know, we can't control people going to do some stupid stuff in our parish, but how we respond to it and what we do, I really got to commend our teams. They've been working hard. You know, we're definitely limited in what we can say with ongoing investigations, but we're not going to tolerate it. We're not tolerating crime. You know, this is not some random incidents that's going on. With every case that we have going on right now, we're going to be able to give the information when we're ready and are able to, that talks about why this happened and even to the level of who and what and where. But at the end of the day, we just want our residents to know that, you know, we're not tolerating those that are trying to make our residents unsafe, and we'll continue working every day to make sure that they are protected.
All right, Chief, you could go on Facebook. Me and you have talked about this many times. Today at lunch, somebody said 7 people shot, right? Somebody said, no, it was 2. No, it was 3. And it's 4. That's the problem when it starts circulating. So you've been pretty transparent over the years. What are the facts?
So we were focused mainly, you know, the 2 that were hospitalized.
Give the address first, just in case somebody's catching us cold here.
Oh, it was we responded to 103, you know, okay. Amarillo. Mm-hmm. And upon arrival, I got there within minutes, coming from my house. By the time I got there, the crowd was still huge. The patients still hadn't been transported to the hospital yet. Trying to get a hold of things that were out there just to, you know, to set what that scene looked like. First thing we're trying to do is we're trying to render aid and make sure everybody's cared for. We're going to worry about the crime scene, and we're going to worry about everything else after everybody is safe. Okay, and then we're going to go back and put the pieces together. But after the dust settled, there were 4 victims. Okay, 2 of them were and still are hospitalized, recovering from their injuries in stable condition. Mm-hmm. Okay. We've not been able to talk with them yet because we want them to tend to themselves first and recover. The other 2, one were what was considered minor injuries. Not that a shooting is minor, but right. The injuries were not life-threatening. Mm-hmm. So we have 4 victims. Now, I'd like to add, not that everybody out there that wasn't there at the time wasn't a victim of this crime, or that lived in the area wasn't a victim of the crime, but the actual people that were truly affected by it were 4. Okay, and immediately we called out every available investigator we had, and they jumped on it, and they worked tirelessly on this investigation to get us to where we are right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at Facebook, once again, you get the whole realm of things. And there's a lot of posts. I want to give you a chance to clear it up or dig into it. Did the person who owned the home work for you? Is that fact or is that non-factual?
So he is not working for the Houma Police Department. He had came to work for the Houma Police Department for a short period of time, okay? Yeah. We were in the process of separating with him due to administrative reasons. And whenever you sign on for the police department, you're not a police officer from day one. That is something that you're going to earn. He had not been commissioned. He had not received a weapon. He had not received a badge. He was not a commissioned law enforcement officer. He was somebody that was employed by the Houma Police Department for a very short period of time. And it doesn't matter who you work for. If you work for the Houma Police Department and you pull something like this in your house, we're going to hold you accountable.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you cleared that up because that could run all over the place. Mr. Parish President, what's all this about they charge you now to go to parties? That's changed since we were growing up. Maybe you could shine some light on that. How do they do that?
You know, my son recently graduating, kind of keep what's going on. And I know there's been situations where there's a charge for a party. And you know, with that, there's maybe certain people have bans, but in those situations, I think it's important that the parents understand where it is, who's going there. In situations whenever I'd allow my son to go to a party, I went to the party to drop him off, make sure I knew who the party was going on, make sure that, you know, I knew who was coming and going and everything, and kept a close eye on it. And so, and when you get parties together, you start getting some of these different schools together, there's always a possibility for something to happen. As we release more information on these cases, you'll have a good understanding of why this particular situation happened. And again, at the end of the day, it wasn't like some just random person going into a party, not knowing people and shooting around. So, it's something I want to make sure our residents feel like that again, when it comes to that kind of stuff, and can you go out in public and can you do different things in the neighborhoods, we're making sure that the safety is of utmost importance, and that our residents should feel like they can move around the parish very safely.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just tell my Jason in the control room, we may go over this, because I don't want to leave this segment just yet. I'm going to go back to the police chief. So times have changed, but the parish president's right. When we had parties growing up, and we'd say, the party's going to be at this location, and my dad would go, well, let's get in the car. I'm going to bring you. And he'd go sit there and talk to the parents who are having the party. Times are a little different now, aren't they?
They are. And look, and this is still an ongoing investigation, but there are some things I can go into detail about, such as what led up to the party and the parties that we charged. Both homeowners were charged with letting a disorderly place. We dug deep into the Louisiana revised statute, and this is the charge that we've found that fit this best. Okay. It is the responsibility of that private property owner to provide for a safe environment and not do things that are going to disturb and disrupt your neighbors in the community. Okay. And whenever that happens, we're going to hold you accountable. Just like I said before, both the husband and wife, Joseph White, and his wife, Ms. Verrett, have both been charged accordingly with letting a disorderly place. And I want to get that out there just in case there's somebody thinking about hosting this at their house this weekend. If you do this, we're going to charge you if the investigation sees fit.
So what you're saying, just in a nutshell, there is accountability to having a party at your house, and it's your responsibility to make sure that it is done responsibly.
That's right.
Bottom line.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a break. We had another shooting here in the parish last night. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about that one. Once again, the parish president, the police chief here. We'll be right back. This segment was brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker. All right, welcome back. Before I get to that other shooting, which I want to talk about, let's go back to 103 Amarillo. Chief, I'll start with you, because I told you today you looked a little tired. Y'all been up a long time. The investigators have been up, so thank you for that. But what's going on with that subdivision? I would imagine that subdivision right now is very, very safe with the amount of patrol units that are going through there.
Right. And look, we have some, society's a victim in this case. Okay. We have some victims assistance grant, and we are wanting everybody to feel safe in their home, because look, whenever you have, doesn't matter where you're at, whenever you have that many gunshots that are fired in the area in a short period of time, you're going to have some fear in people. I want people to feel safe in their homes. This is a safe town. I love this town, and I want everybody to rest assured that the hard work of the men and women in the police department, we're going to get control of this, and this town's going to be safe, right? They're going to enjoy staying home at night, and they're going to feel safe with their families. But there's not enough that can be said. I have to commend the work of the men and women of the Houma Police Department over the last couple of days. No matter how tired they were going home, they were getting a nap, and they were coming back and getting back to work. They worked until late last night. They were back at work one time this morning, and they're working all day. They're bouncing back and forth all over the state right now trying to get this thing wrapped up. And I just want everybody to know how hard these men and women are working, and how much I appreciate everything everybody for our agency does day in and day out. And they need to know how much the people, the individuals of the Houma Police Department love this town and why they do what they do.
Yeah, I want to turn to the parish president too, because I sense whenever we get in situations like this, there's a point in time where police administration, y'all go, all right, enough is enough of this. And I sort of sense that now. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, and I've been working since before I got elected, and when I look at this particular instance might not apply, but the other incidents we've had happen recently, We know that behavioral health and mental health and addiction are big issues in our parish and causing a lot of this other stuff to happen, right? Because even if it's a situation where it's maybe a shooting related to a drug dealer or something else going wrong, it's all coming back to one of those three issues. So, we're working hard. We are taking it seriously. We want to get people help, but we're going to hold people accountable. And again, when we talk about just like after hurricanes, we don't have looters. Things are going to happen, but we're getting right on top of it. Like Travis said, the teams are working hard, and we're going to work what we can do to help people out. But at the same time, we're not playing around. We don't care who you work for, who you are. You're going to be held accountable to the law.
All right. Let's do this because I want to elaborate on the 103. We're going to get to the other shooting. If we got to do a third segment, we will. But let me ask you, when you're dealing with a situation like this, the motives are all over the place too on Facebook.
Correct.
It was drugs. It was a girlfriend. It was a gambling. I've seen three different things in a matter of three different posts, and I'm going, how do y'all deal with that and do the investigation at the same time, knowing that the public is throwing stuff all over the place, but you're trying to focus in?
So you take all your rumors, you put your rumors right here, and you have about 5 different roads. You take your evidence, and you let your evidence guide you down the proper road. And you not necessarily ignore the rest, but you go with the evidence-driven investigation, and you base an investigation on facts and not rumors. And you try and drown everything else out. And no matter what everybody else is telling you, you follow the facts, and you're going to end up on the good side of things.
How much video are y'all getting? Because we showed a little video a little while ago, but I would imagine y'all getting a lot of video.
Yeah. So look, we have one group that's just out there obtaining video, and then they're bouncing back and forth between other investigations. And look, it was pretty early on that we had a good idea of who was responsible. Okay. But we can't put that out, and there are certain details we can't put out because we still have witnesses to talk to. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why we're not putting a photo out of this individual. Right. That's because we still have photo lineups to show, and we have to make sure that the information that we are getting back from our witnesses is something that they know personally, and it's not something that they're getting from a media outlet or social media.
And we've always often seen on these shows that the perpetrator is watching the news. They watch everything about the thing. They're going to see it. The best thing for them to do right now is get ahead of the whole thing and turn themselves in.
Absolutely. I hope he is watching, because I promise you, we're going to do everything in our power to locate him and safely take him into custody.
All right, let's do this. We're going to take a break. Let's come back for the third segment, talk about the other shooting, and give the parish president a chance to talk more about the situation in general when we come back. We'll take a break. Don't go away. We'll be back.
Hello.
This segment was brought to you by Buick. Exceptional by design. All right, we're going to get to the other shooting, but we're going to wrap up on 103 Amarillo. But, Chief, with all the video that's out there now, there's going to be some residents who might be sitting on some video that said, I don't want to turn this in. The guy's still loose. They're a little scared. But they can certainly help you solve a crime. What do you tell them?
I would encourage them to contact us, provide us with the video. If they're absolutely that scared of providing us with the video, that video can be submitted onto Crime Stoppers, or contact Crime Stoppers, and we'll be able to provide them with an email to get it in. My email's on the bottom of all of the press releases. They can feel free to email it to me, and I'll get it to the investigators as well. There are many avenues that they can take to get it to us. Just find a way to get it there.
Was the suspect alone? Because sometimes we've seen, I've talked to you about it, I've talked to everybody else in law enforcement, somebody else with the suspect is filming too. And they might have video from their perspective.
Correct. And look, it never ceases to amaze me, the things that we uncover as these investigations go on. In 26 years, I've never seen an investigation that's identical to the other. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I love about it, is you always have change that you have to deal with. But one of the biggest things is whenever you see something, you say something.
Mm-hmm. I know the parish president's been saying that at the meetings when we talk about mental health and all kind of other things. mean, you're supposed to be taking care of administrative stuff in the parish, getting ready for hurricane season. And right in the middle of you trying to get ready for all this, we're dealing with shootings. Okay, not that it's new, it's been progressing across America for the longest time, so we're not new to it, but it kind of sucks to have to deal with that when you're trying to deal with everything else.
Well, I put it into a category of safety, whether it be a road, whether it be a hurricane, whether it be a shooting. The safety of our residents is of utmost importance. And I want our residents to know we are taking it seriously. And we're having conversations throughout the weekend and just looking at what's going on, making sure our teams have all the tools they need, making sure they're resting when they need to. And again, not only working a lot of hours and everything else. And so we got to make sure that our teams are good and ready to go for the next incident when the next incident arises. And I got to commend, again, our police department and working in coordination with sheriff's office and all the other groups that we work with on a regular basis. But again, it's just part of the job. And it's every issue, anything that affects the safety of our residents is important to me.
And you speak about the next incident. It didn't take long for the next incident, Chief. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so around 8:30 last night, received a phone call in the 7500 block of West Park Avenue. There was an individual, 66 years old, that was shot in the back by what we believe to be an acquaintance. No reason to believe that this is anything other than an isolated event. This wasn't a robbery or anything like that. Mm-hmm. This was a dispute at a residence, in a residence. And we're currently working on that to try and get that closed out as well. I'm sure you can tell I can't release many details on it because that one is really fresh and our investigators are actively working on it. But his injuries were very severe, and but he's in stable condition now.
So just to recap, over the weekend we had that person was shot, and you said 4 were shot in the Amarillo.
Yes.
So y'all dealing with 5 gunshot wounds.
5 gunshot wounds. Yes. And then look, and there's another thing that we need to commend. We've had all of these shootings, and the things I seen Acadian Ambulance do this weekend and the lives they saved was nothing but other than truly amazing. And it's through the and I have to reach out and I have to thank State Police and the Sheriff's Department, Acadian Ambulance, the Fire Department, everybody, because everybody came together as one team this weekend, and we accomplished some truly amazing things. And the work in partnership is very important.
Real quick, a lot of people who are a little scared, the guy's still on the loose. I'm sure, just to ease their mind, y'all have a bead on the suspect and he's within sight or within knowledge of where y'all think he might be.
So this morning, an arrest warrant was issued for Tyarian Queen, 19 years old, of Thibodeau, 4 counts of attempted second-degree murder, illegal discharge of a firearm, and his bond is $1.1 million. I would like to encourage Mr. Queen to turn himself into the police department.
That Judge Arsenault's courtroom?
I'm not sure exactly what courtroom that would be.
I think I could be wrong, but I thought it was Judge Arsenault. So 1.1
Yes, sir.
million bond. All right. So yeah, I mean that would be the best thing at this point, because people will start ratting from within. You know, we call it ratting, but really it's the right thing to do. Get the guy off the street.
And I would also like to say I'd like to encourage them to call Crime Stoppers if they know his location, because we have a guaranteed $1,000 reward for his arrest.
Okay, Mr. Parish President, we'll close with you. Any chance of going back into schools, having seminars with these kids and telling them, come on, man, leave the guns alone. Go back to the park and handle it the way we used to handle it, you know? No gunshots.
Yeah, and I think our law enforcement officers, we have SROs, and we're expanding that program out to have SROs throughout the schools, and I think they work on those relationships. 19-year-olds probably already out of school and has already maybe chosen a path, and again, we're trying to do things that we can to help maybe change some of these paths. But again, we're gonna continue to work hard to make sure that people like this are held accountable. But it is important that the residents, share information, let us know, call the police department. It goes back to that see something, say something, no matter if it's related to parish, roads, bridges, trash, or crime. Let us know, give us the information we need so that we can be successful and we can make sure our residents are safe. And
All right, there you have it. The parish president, the police chief will give you more updates as we get them. Stay tuned. This segment was brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Feels like home.